Hello and welcome back to Murder Mystery Haunted History Sunday Night Fun with I'm BB3 and this is MelNetteLivingFreeZipCodeless. Nettie over here.
Yep.
I'm sure most of you know Miss Nettie.
And most should know BB3 too.
I don't know. I've been gone a while. This is our second week back, and I am looking forward to this one. This one is true crime cold cases.
Yeah.
So this should be interesting. Let me, anyone over here on the TikTok side, hello. You can go to my IO on the page and join us live here on YouTube. Tube of the U. Sorry, I got to watch my wording. So any mods that happen to be here, I think Katie, you can kind of keep an eye on that for me. I can't do it all at one time, so I'd appreciate that. And then let me jump over to our chat and welcome everybody in on this side, on the tube side of things.
Yes, and what I want to say to the chat, we are linking both of our channels. So when BB welcomes somebody in the chat and you don't see them, they're either on my chat or they're on BB's chat. So you might get a little bit confused, if you happen to notice that. But that's the reason. We have two chats going at the same time and both of our channels going.
All right. So with that being said, this is Lee. They're over on Nettie's side. So anybody on my side may not see them, but you can see them now when I put their comment up.
Yeah.
And we have Miss Chrissy Mama. I love you. Beautiful. I've missed you. It's so good to see you. We have Gothica. Hello, hello. We have Bridge Burner. Long time no see. I think I seen you last weekend, though. I think you were here.
Yeah.
Shaco, I cannot put your name on the screen, but I see you, Shaco. I see you. Roy and Becky, I missed you guys. Hello and welcome in. Rose, hello, hello. Okay, I can't pronounce it. You got this one.
That is Sausha.
There we go.
Yeah. Thank you for coming in, Sausha.
We got Captain Jack, Michelle, Percy?
Yeah, I believe Pressy.
Percy. Jen Joy, hello and welcome. All right. CR View, hello, hello. Listening on the phone. Hope everyone's having a great evening.
Aw.
All right. With that being said, how about we get started?
Yeah.
Oop. It just ran right through that beginning. There we go.
It just went through real quick.
I'll let you read that one. Ardez, hey, hey.
Hey, Rhonda. Thank you for coming in.
All right. You want to start?
Sure. Code cases we were surprised and relieved to finally solve. Most of us love a good mystery, as long as it's in a book or a movie and does not remain unsolved. In real life, the families of victims who have not yet found justice live in limbo. Not only do they have to live with the loss of a loved one, but justice delayed remains justice denied.
Hello, Miss Katie. This is where cold case detectives step in. They take cases that are years old with seemingly no clues, but with DNA advancement, some sheer luck, and a ton of hard work, investigators are often successful. Here are some mysteries that were finally solved, where the victims' families got some answers, if not closure.
Number 1, a woman started a TikTok account to help solve her sister's murder, leading to her dad's arrest. On May 17th, 2001, was supposed to be Alyssa's Turney's last day of school at Paradise Valley High in Phoenix, Arizona. But the 17-year-old never came home and all her family found was a note, including she had run away to California at the time. Her younger half sister, Sarah, was 12.
The note read, Dad and Sarah, when you dropped me off at school today, I decided I really am going to California. Sarah, you said you really wanted me gone. Now you have it. Dad, I took $300 from you. That's why I saved my money. Ouch.
Her stepfather, Michael Turney, who had adopted her, stated he had picked up Elisa around 11 a.m. and taken her out for lunch, where they had argued. When they got home, she stormed to her room and he went out to run errands and picked Sarah up from her field trip. They returned to Elisa's note.
But Sarah did not believe the story. Almost immediately, she started a website to look for her sister, graduating to social media and finally to TikTok over the years. Despite Sarah's best efforts, the case went cold until 2006 when a man confessed to unaliving Elisa.
The confession was a hoax, but it made the authorities examine the case again. By now, after no trace of Elisa had been found, authorities began to look into the matter with a keener eye, suspecting foul play.
Hello and welcome in, Kim and Traveling Adventures. Hello, hello.
Hey, welcome, y'all.
Over on the tubes, over on the TikTok side, Charlene and Britt, we are over on the tube of the U, as the comments say. So head on over. You can join the live chat over here. In 2008, the police executed search warrants at the house Elisa disappeared from and found a massive stockpile of weapons, firearms, and ammunition, including 26 pipe booms. The Arizona Republic reported it to be the largest stockpile of explosives discovered in the Phoenix Police Department's history.
That is just insane.
That is. Also, I think I know this one.
Oh, wow.
It's a good one.
Turney was arrested for having illegal explosives and sentenced to 10 years in federal prison in 2010. Although he was released in 2017, in 2019, Sarah started a TikTok channel, Voices for Justice, and received an unprecedented response in terms of followers.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Like who has the time nor space to hold all of that stuff? The growing interest in the case, as well as some new evidence coming to light, made Phoenix police submit Elisa's case to the prosecutor's office for charges against Michael Turney in June of 2020.
On August 19th of 2020, a grand jury indicted him on one count of second-degree M, and Michael Turney was arrested. The next day, which Sarah gladly announced on her social media channel, a 19-year-old murder laid to rest by a determined sister on TikTok.
So when we're doing these lives, I'm doing 5 different things, guys, just in case you don't know. I'm doing clicking on comments, making sure the YouTube side's running, the StreamYard side, and now I've got the TikTok going. So retaining some of the story is a little more difficult on my end. Also, anyone that doesn't know, a lot of these Nettie will put together and they're a surprise to me. I don't watch them purposely going into it so that I have like a discussion about the things that I'm learning as we watch them. So that's kind of how we do the videos. And if I'm correct, this is the stepdad that did this to her, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that Sarah Gladney was one of the first people to garner a huge following, sharing her sister's story. And she inspired many others to come to TikTok to share their stories, because she was like the very first one to share, hey, this happened and I believe it was my dad and blah, 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 or
Wow.
stepdad.
Mhm.
She was one of the first ones to share that. And people saw how successful her stuff was. And so then they started using the platform to then solve crimes, which I think is
Wow.
pretty awesome that somebody can do
Yeah,
that.
she basically opened the door, and then other people did that, and it probably helped solve whatever, their situation or circumstance they were going through. So
Yeah,
yeah, that is very inspiring. I'm glad she thought to get on the platform, to try to help the find out what
very
happened.
much. Very much.
Mhm.
Hey, Paradox. Nice seeing you. It's been
Yeah.
a while.
Dutch police cracked a 22-year-old child murder, tracking the killer to his tent in the woods. On August 10th, 1998, 11-year-old Nikki Verstappen disappeared from a summer camp in Brussum, Limburg, in the Netherlands. A day later, he was found deceased in a pine grove in Lingraf, around 0.75 miles away from the camp. He was naked from the waist up, and his body shows signs of abuse.
For 20 years, the investigation went forward at a slow pace, with suspects being identified but no DNA evidence tying them to the murder or the crime scene, to the murderer or the crime scene. The late Dutch crime journalist Peter R. D. Vries, come
I
on, Nettie,
know.
where are you
I
getting
know.
these names?
I know.
Journalist Peter R., we'll just leave him at that, got
Yeah.
involved and raised monies to double the $25,000 guilders being offered by the public prosecutor's office. Oh, good gosh. Thank goodness Hitch Up and Toes not here. I'm sure he'd be laughing at us right now.
And if
This
you all
story,
don't know, we struggle with words. Both of us do. So
this story's got some big ones.
yeah. He also became a spokesperson for the Verstappen family, who were desperate for answers. Finally, in 2008, the Dutch police asked people living in and around the Limburg area to volunteer their DNA. Even if none of them was the killer, they could be a relative of the person who committed the crime.
We need Roy to help with this. Oh, I've missed you, Roy and Becky. I have missed you so much. Jen Joy said, we all do. This is
Yeah.
the truth. All right, TikTok side, about 5 more minutes, and I'm going to shut down that. So make sure you come over and join us on the U of the Tubes side. More than 14,000 DNA samples were collected, and one of them hit pay dirt. The sample came from a relative of 55-year-old Joseph Teresa Jones. Joe's Breach, jeez, already known to be a actual offender, but Breach was nowhere to be found.
I'm glad they put Jose instead of trying to say.
Hey, Linda Barker. Yeah, that name's hard.
Yeah, that was long. Although authorities were able to get his DNA from some personal items, matching the foreign DNA found on the Verstappen's body after a tip, authorities traced Breach, a survivalist, to a
Survivalist.
survivalist, okay, to a tent in the woods near the village of Casacol, north of Barcelona in Spain.
Ah. He was arrested in August of 2018 in Spain and extradited to the Netherlands on September 6, 2018. He was put on trial and in November of 2020 sentenced to 12 and a half years in prison for kidnapping and other more heinous crimes.
Wow.
I
I know, Jennifer, we're trying.
So I have a question. When Netherlands is mentioned, they just mention Netherlands and whatever you're watching the news, whatever. Does anyone else think of Peter Pan or is it just me?
Yeah. I think of, like anything pertaining to that, like a children's book or, a Disney character. But yeah, when I hear Netherlands. Yeah.
Yeah, anytime Netherlands is mentioned, I immediately go to Peter Pan.
Yeah. Oh, the bridge burner's back. He's in your chat. Yay.
Hey, welcome to my chat. Thanks for jumping around.
Yeah.
Neverland. Exactly.
Never. Yeah.
All right. Tiki Talk, we're going to shut down now. Thank you all for kicking in over here and jumped over. Shut you down, though. Here we go. Thanks, Katie, for keeping an eye on that.
Yeah. Okay. Breach denied having hurt the boy. He claimed he stumbled upon the body in the woods and only straightened his clothes. Because of his record as a offender, Breach said he quietly went his way, not reporting the body because no one would believe him.
Oh, yeah, I def see you're trying. I would be struggling as well. Both Breach and the prosecutors appealed the case. In January of 2022, the Dutch court not only upheld the previous convictions, but also found Breach guilty of manslaughter, sentencing him to 16 more years.
Wow.
James Katniss. Hello.
Hello, James. The DNA from a domestic violence arrested solved a 25-year-old murder. Gladys Orlano was last seen at her home in Boyle Heights, a Los Angeles neighborhood, on January 28, 1996. She went missing soon after, and her family reported the same to the authorities.
The search ended in January with the grisly discovery of her partially clothed body, 30 feet off the main road in a ravine in Topanga Canyon near Malibu. An autopsy revealed that the 17-year-old had been assaulted before being tossed out.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry, Auntie Marmar.
Hey, Auntie Marmar. Welcome in.
Yeah. The Los Angeles Police Department collected all of the serology evidence they could find on her body. Subsequently, the DNA was entered into all state and federal databases, but no match came up, and the case went cold.
Auntie Marmar, I've interviewed families with missing relatives or cold cases like we're covering now. I used to do that stuff on the channel, and we actually need to check back in with them. But I had done a case where all the evidence was there to charge somebody, but the police station hadn't charged them. And so we need to check back in on that case, but I don't know if your friend is putting that out there into social media realm, but if they are and they would like help with that, let them know I am willing to interview if they would like. Hello, Joe. On November 10th, 2019, Jose Luis Garcia, 42, was arrested on a DV charge, and his DNA was collected and entered into the system, as per procedure. It matched the DNA pulled from Arleño's body, and by December of 2019, cold case detectives had something to go on.
It's unreal how all these cases back then, weren't solved because of not being able to use DNA, and they're able to open these cold cases up and
I
put
had
someone
a
on rest.
I had a friend who testified at church about what had happened to her. She had been
Yeah.
brutally she was left for unalive. She was
Wow.
barely hanging on, and
Yeah.
she was knocking on a door to try to get help, and she looked so bad that the people were afraid of her and wouldn't open the door, so they called the police. Now this was back when probably in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, she survived. They took her evidence and they basically just put it in a box. Well, about 10 years ago, the DNA led to an arrest. But the reason that they were able to make an arrest and put him away for life was it was a serial person. He had done this.
Oh my,
I think they said they had over 75 matches to his DNA, and that's just the ones they were able to match.
that is crazy.
But it had gone on, from the 70s until about
Yeah.
10 years ago without any movement in the case. Um, but yeah, they had been basically stacking these boxes in an evidence room somewhere
Mm-hmm.
until that connection, much like this one, was made, which is just
Wow.
mind-boggling that can
Yeah,
happen.
definitely. Garcia would have been 19 at the time of Arleño's and murder. While police could not find a link between Garcia and Arleño, the two did live close to each other at the time.
Katie, you got everybody over here meowing in my chat. Look what you did, Katie.
Yeah. Oh,
To
I think it
investigate one.
bounced. Yeah.
There we go. When investigators reached Garcia's Fontana home, he moved to Dallas. He was arrested and extradited to California and arraigned in October of 2020. Garcia entered a plea of not guilty. A trial is pending.
A son close to the 40-year-old murder case his father started investigating. Oh, his son closed. Sorry. On December 19th, 1979, Michelle Martinko left her choir banquet and headed to Westdale Mall in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. The 18-year-old was on her way to pick up a coat her mother had reserved for her. She was 18 years old and carrying $186 to pay for the coat, which she ultimately changed her mind about it. She never came home.
Nancy Murmur said, there is a gentleman on here, Steve Stone Grimm. Oh, I know Grimm, Truth Media. Thank you, BB. I will mention this to his mom.
Mm-hmm.
There's another guy named Grimm. I'm thinking it's not the same one now, but he does a lot of crime. I'm watching a friend from school go through this. Her younger brother was found in the river. And then a few weeks later, another man was found in the same river. So far, no arrest. Oh, wow. I can't even wish someone bad. Like in my head, if I think a bad thought about somebody, I'm like, oh man, be nice.
Yeah.
Be nice, BB. Let alone take somebody's life. Like I was just talking with Nettie before we got started about a
Mm-hmm.
situation I went through, and I was like, man, I really would have liked to have called in so and so to help me with that. And I was like, but
Yeah.
that's evil. And I can't be evil because I'm not. And then here we are discussing these people that are taking people's lives. I just don't.
It's just terrible.
Right. The next day, her body was found in the family car, a 1972 Buick Electra in the parking lot of the same mall. Stabbed and cut 29 times. At the
Mm.
time, nearly every police officer in the Cedar Rapids was called to investigate the scene, including Detective Harvey Dingler. Uh-oh, what's Harvey been up to?
I know, right? The police were able to collect and preserve evidence from the scene, including blood spots on the steering wheel and her dress. There was no DNA investigation at the time, so the police relied on available suspects, including an ex boyfriend, Andy Siddell.
The couple had broken up, but Siddell was not only upset, he was also allegedly still trying to get back with her and near obsessive about who she was with. Despite being a suspect for many years, authorities could find no proof against Siddell.
Finally, DNA entered the scene in 2005, and by this time, Martinko, former classmate Doug Larson, or Larison, a police detective, was in charge. Two of the blood smearings, one from her dress and another from the steering wheel, were found to have male DNA. Further testing proved it did not belong to Siddell.
It's like there's a sinister spiritual force that travels the world, creating chaos and possessing people. I want to believe this. I want
Yeah.
to believe this more than people are inherently evil. I know we've gotten into some really deep discussions on this channel
Yeah.
um, about like evil and where it comes from and who can have it and all that stuff. But like, I legitimately want to believe that something just comes in and like possesses and that humans themselves are not this evil. Nettie, this whole time I've been just looking at the little kitty right next to you, all snug. I can see just a little bit of her fur.
Can you? Right here.
Yeah.
That will be joy.
Been watching for a few minutes. Interesting. Thank God for DNA. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Another frustrating decade passed until finally Harvey Dingler's son Matt took over as lead detective in 2015. DNA technology had advanced again. DET, Detective Matt Dingler reached out to Virginia's Parabon Nanolabs
Yeah.
with the DNA profile, and they made a composite sketch based on genetic traits. Mm.
That was tongue tying. Welcome in, the real Robert Walkwell. We appreciate you coming in.
Hello, hello.
Mhm. From there, he used genealogy to match the suspect's DNA profile via GEDmatch, a public DNA database which found a female relative. He spent another 2 years making the full family tree. From there, Dillinger reached out to Parabon Nanolabs again, and they narrowed the search to three brothers from Iowa. Just amazing what they can find with this DNA.
Okay. Okay, I see you over there in the chat. It hasn't popped up on the StreamYard side yet, but I can't. I'm gonna say you're Tucker. Tell me I'm right. Please tell me I'm right that you are Tucker. I can't. I can't. Tanya and Tanya are spelt the same way, and I have two of them that joined me over on the TikTok. Yes, I got it right. It is Tucker, and I renamed them because I
Oh,
kept saying their names wrong. You know, I don't word well. Everybody's witnessing that. So I literally renamed them, and they now go by different names.
that's funny.
Uh, but as far as DNA and how long it's been around, because I seen Rose said DNA
Yeah.
has been around since 2015, if you remember. So DNA has been around for quite some time, but the
Yeah,
ability to do different things with it has advanced throughout the years. So it's technically yes,
exactly.
but I think at first they really didn't even know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Mm,
And then Kim is saying that she believes I know this story.
yeah. Jen's like, yep, it's Tucker. Oh, did I just pass it?
I don't think so.
I think this is the one I need to read, right? Or
Yeah,
you
that's the one you need to read.
Okay.
Yeah.
Detectives painstakingly gathered DNA from trash and finally had a match. One of the brothers, Jerry Burns, matched the DNA, and his younger picture was a dead ringer for the DNA guided sketch. After an arrest and trial, Burns, a father of three, was found guilty and sentenced to life without parole. He insists he did not commit the crime. What's crazy about this is they're saying that they took DNA and created a sketch.
Yeah.
Like they put the DNA in the computer and then was like, this is what the guy should look like based off his DNA.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And
Oh, to
for
tag people,
yeah.
um, Jen Joy, to tag people, you use the at if they're in the chat and they're watching, you can use the at symbol and start typing their name, and then it should pop up their name and you can just click on it and that will tag them. But if you're watching from a phone, can you
It's the
can you
same thing,
still
but
do
you
that?
actually have to type it completely in and the way you see it in order for it
Okay.
to tag them.
So if you're on a phone and you do the at symbol, you have to type their whole name. It won't pop up for you. If you're on the
Yeah.
computer, it'll pop up for you and you
And if
can
you
click
can
it.
click on Rhonda comment, it kind of shows her how to do that, you know?
Yeah, Rhonda is showing you right there. If you do that
Yeah.
little at symbol and then do it. So
And that's exactly what you do.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's a transition to go from either TikTok to
Mhm.
YouTube or YouTube to TikTok, and some people don't like it at all. Hitch Up and Toe tried to join me over on TikTok and was like, "Yeah, I'm out. This is different. Don't like it." But I love having you guys at both. I love it. So
Mhm. The parent of a missing 9-year-old girl finally received answers. Michelle Gretchen, age 9, disappeared in broad daylight on November 19th, 1988, from Haywood, California. She and her friend had ridden scooters to Rainbow Grocery on Mission Boulevard to buy some snacks, and Gretchen was abducted from the parking lot. The kidnapper had moved her scooter behind a car to isolate Gretchen before grabbing her and leaving a palm print behind.
her friend Katerina Rodriguez was the only witness to the abduction and ran inside to inform the clerk, who called police. Garcette's abduction became big news, with her photo featured on milk cartons as well as TV programs airing episodes about her, all in a bid to milk information from the public. Despite everything, the case went cold.
That said, detailed investigations remained underway for years, finally leading police to hone in on 59-year-old David Mish, a convicted killer. He had been in prison since 1989 on an unrelated murder charge, and authorities traced him as a suspect in Gretchen's kidnapping via a palm print on the scooter.
Jar of Heart, hello, hello, beautiful.
Hi.
At the time of his arrest, palm prints were not part of the procedure and were taken much later. Mish was charged with Garrett's kidnapping and murder in December of 2020 by Alameda County District Attorney Nancy O'Malley, although the girl's remains have never been found. That part breaks me in these cases.
Yeah.
It's
There's
like if
no
somebody,
closure.
yeah, if somebody's been arrested, you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison. There's no way you're getting out. Why not give the family closure? Like,
Hmm.
come on, I know you're evil, but like that's the least you could do.
Yeah.
Hello, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy. Thank you for coming in.
And Red Jaguar. Hello, hello.
Hi. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. That's Herbie and Mary. Thank you guys for coming in.
Keeping an eye out for the haunted history.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some story times coming soon. I've been recording them. So if you guys are looking for something kind of spooky, I'm getting ready to release another story time.
Those are always good, BB. I love your story times.
Oh, thank you.
After 30 years, a teen cousin was identified as her killer. It was July of 1989, and Fawn Cox was a 16-year-old cashier at Worlds of Fun amusement park in Kansas City, Missouri. On July 26, she came back at 11 p.m. and went straight to bed. The next morning, her alarm rang inconsistently, so her sister and mother tried to wake her up, but she was already gone. Do you know this story? Since it's like
I
in your
think
area?
I think I do.
Okay.
Cox had been assaulted and murdered in her own bed, but no one in her family heard anything as they slept because the air conditioning was on. For years, the family sought answers, including looking at DNA to solve the murders, but this was deemed too expensive by Kansas City police.
Wow.
I have not heard good things about Kansas City and their police department and crime
Uh-huh.
rate and all of that stuff.
Wow.
Yes, Charve Hearts, thank you. Everybody,
Yeah.
don't forget to smash that like button, please.
Mm-hmm. The family held fundraisers and even offered to pay the bill themselves. And in 2020, the FBI paid the bill for DNA testing on the evidence. The killer was finally identified as Donald Cox Jr., her cousin. Unfortunately, he could not be put on trial. He passed years ago from a drug overdose.
I wonder if they kind of suspected him or if that was an
Mhm.
absolute surprise. Because can you imagine having no idea who did it and then all of a sudden, like that person that did it is your family member and they've been like hanging out at Christmas,
Yeah,
Thanksgiving, and you spent all these years with them? Can you imagine?
exactly.
How do you put a price tag on a person's life? Mhm.
A mathematics prodigy. Suicide was ruled a hate crime after 30 years.
I see you there, Shaco. Thank you for watching.
Scott Johnson was an American math prodigy who moved to Australia to complete his PhD at the Australian National University. At the time, he was involved with Australian musicologist,
Music Musicologist?
musicologist Michael Noon. And his move to Australia was also to be close to his partner.
On December 10th, 1988, Johnson's unclothed body was found on rocks at the foot of cliffs at Bluefish Point, New South Wales. His clothes and other belongings were found at the top of the cliff, and initially his death was ruled a suicide. I love you all in a special way, too. You know, Shaco, sometime I need to come live and do a story time over here on this YouTube side of things and explain why my channel went dark for a little bit. I think you'll find it interesting.
His brother Steve Johnson contested the ruling from the start and felt the authorities bungled the investigation by labeling the the place he died as a not a gay beat. When in fact it was. Not only was it a place for gay men to hang out and meet partners, but it was also a place where gay bashing gangs would meet out beatings and worse, especially to HMs.
Steve Johnson began a campaign to get justice for his brother, and in 2012, his self funded inquest ended in an open finding. A third inquest in 2017 finally had the state coroner, Michael Barnes, say that Johnson was likely pushed, hounded, or frightened off the cliff, despite NSW police asking him to make an open case again.
Once Scott Johnson's death was declared likely the result of a gay hate crime, the NSW Police Department opened a fresh investigation under the aegis of Commissioner Mick Fuller and Detective Chief Inspector Peter Yausman, the lead investigator.
I'm sure you do, Shako. I'm sure you do. Dirty bird. In 2018, a $1 million a $1 million reward was offered for any information about the case, later increased to $2 million after Steve Johnson matched the amount. In 2020, authorities arrested Scott White. On January 13th of 2022, White finally said the words Scott Johnson's family was longing to hear. Guilty. I am guilty. Guilty.
Wow.
At least he confessed.
Yeah. The murder is just one of the many that took place in Australia from the 1960s to the 80s when gangs of
Homophobic.
homophobic men targeted homosexuals. One of the gang called themselves the Alexandria Eight and would beat gay men and push them off cliffs to their deaths. That's just so sad.
I know that the world was way different
Yeah.
before, and we've now progressed, thank goodness, to a
Mhm.
place where love is love and everyone is accepted.
Mhm.
I just can't imagine why. Why did it matter to these people who this man was having actual relationships with? What did it matter? It wasn't like he was doing it with them. Like I
Right.
don't understand why it was their business. I just don't understand that form of hate confuses me. Genetic genealogy helped solve a 34-year-old murder. On August 12th of 1986, Lisa Holstead exited her boyfriend's car in the middle of the night between 1:30 a.m. and 2 a.m. at the intersection of Mason and Taylor Streets in Green Bay. Some 12 hours later, she was reported missing, and within an hour, authorities found her body at what is now the Ken Ers Nature Area in Green Bay.
Homestead was 22 and a mother to a little boy. For years, Green Bay police kept at the case, and unfortunately, they had collected plenty of DNA evidence. But finally, they sent the DNA to the advanced lab and got genetic genealogy to develop a family tree.
That's the other thing I think is really cool right now about DNA is
Yeah.
that all these people that are doing the heritage stuff where they're sending their
Uh-huh.
DNA off so that they can find out their family tree. So let's
Yeah.
say someone murders someone and their second cousin has turned in this DNA information to get their family tree. They can now track down murderers through their DNA by their second cousin, their dad, their
Oh my.
whatever on
Yeah.
this genealogy stuff. I think that's cool. I love it. I love that
Mhm.
they're able to do that now. Joe said they were afraid of what it would do to the world. Two men being allowed to openly love would require them to be openly tolerant, and we all know people handle how we all know how people handle tolerance.
Yeah.
That's very true. They used to blame it on AIDS. That used to be the
Mhm.
reason that everyone feared it. This one yours?
No, it's yours.
In turn, this helped them identify the heritage of the man who committed the crime and managed to narrow it down to a few relatives. From there, they tried to identify if anyone in the same family circle lived in Wisconsin at the time and got a name of Lou Archie Griffin.
Mm.
23 and incarcerate me. Exactly. But and now it's not, you don't have to be the only one to do
Yeah.
the 23 and me. Your family members can do 23 and me and your butt's going to end up in jail. And I love that. And I think that's good.
Authorities stalked out his place, collecting DNA evidence, and discarded cigarette butts and beer cans. Came up with a match. Finally, Green Bay's oldest cold case could be closed. The 65-year-old Griffin was arrested and charged with first-degree intentional homicide on October 28, 2020. He had a criminal record, but his DNA was not on record.
A 40-year-old murderer was solved. A 40-year-old murder was solved with DNA found on a vanilla Coke. Sometime between the late hours of August 3rd and the early morning of August 4th, 1981, Sylvia Quayle
Yeah.
was assaulted and murdered in her home in Cherry Hills Village, Colorado. She last spoke to her younger sister in the evening, and in the morning, her father discovered her body in the living room.
Oh, my.
Jeez.
The phone line had been cut, and bathroom window screen was found at a distance from her home. There was also a pry mark on the window frame, indicating forceful entry. For years, the search for her killer got nowhere, despite DNA evidence collected at the scene.
In 2000, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation submitted the DNA sample was submitted to the FBI combined DNA index system. No match turned up. In 2020, the Cherry Hills Village Police Department started working with a genetic genealogy firm, United Data Connect, after they cracked open a similar cold case.
UDC and
Sorry, I don't know what happened there. 1 second.
cracked open. Okay, so you read that one.
There you
Okay.
go. That one's it skipped past that really quick.
Yeah. UDC analyzed the DNA and found two likely matches once it was uploaded to two public databases. Geo matched, is it Geo or I think matched and
Yeah.
family tree DNA in early 2021. A UDC investigator traveled to Cozad, Nebraska, to collect DNA from the more likely suspect. Tommy Travels.
Hey, Tummy Travels and Shaco. Much better. Thank you.
Now we
Shaco the
can show them.
Now I can put your name on the screen, Shaco.
But I do miss your Boston Terriers. I just got to say that. Loved his little Boston Terriers that were on there.
His puppy.
His puppies.
His spoiled puppy baby.
Mm-hmm.
The investigator recovered 15 items from the trash, with 4 sent for actual testing. Finally, on January 29th, 2021, DNA on a vanilla Coke can matched the crime scene evidence, leading to the arrest of 62-year-old Nebraska resident David Anderson. His court case is pending.
Yeah, you got to be careful with cigarette butts, Coca-Cola cans.
Well, that's how that one case that I was covering in real time on channel,
Uh-huh.
the Idaho 4,
Yeah.
that's how they were able to end up getting him was DNA that was thrown away in the trash can. It was his father's DNA, but they were able to link it back to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Russian serial killer, the Volga Manik, was arrested with the help of DNA.
Oh, Shako, I'm
Oh,
so
I'm
sorry.
sorry. That's so sad.
That's really difficult, Shako. We're
Yeah.
sorry.
And we're definitely animal lovers. You know, we have our pets, and we lost Jack 3 years ago, and it was pretty rough for us. So we do feel your pain. I'm sorry about that, Shako.
But we do love the pup. I loved your fur baby.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good night, Charvheart.
Good night, Charheart. From March 2011 to September 2012, around 30 women ages 75 to 90 were killed in Russia's Tatarstan region. All lived alone in low-cost housing apartments called K along the banks of the Volga River. That is way too long to try to pronounce.
The women were strangled with various implements like belts or simply by the killer's hands because the modus operandi was the same in each case. Authorities began to believe they were the doings of a single serial killer who came to be known as the Volga Maniac.
Maniac. I kept saying manic. In December 2020, Russian law enforcement finally arrested 38-year-old locksmith Radik T in the city of Karzan. Based on DNA and shoe print evidence, he had 2 children and a live-in girlfriend at the time, and according to media reports, confessed to the murders.
He claimed he needed to eat and to survive, so he decided to rob the helpless. According to Tegrivo, I don't know. Sorry, guys, I'm
Yeah.
trying. He chose to murder elderly women so they could not identify them. He also claimed that strangling them was a painless way for them to go, although experts refute his claims. No, strangling is not
Yeah,
painless.
exactly. And that's like a slow death. So he
Yeah,
was getting his kicks off of watching that.
I was just gonna say, they say I can't Shaco probably knows the exact time, but it takes a very long time for someone to actually I think it's 3 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you're literally having to hold their and watch that happen for I
Hmm.
think it's 3 minutes. And if you even just sit here and were to count to 30 right now and just do 1 minute, it would seem like forever to be looking in someone's eyes, and watching that happen. And they were probably terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified.
You know, they were struggling, so it wasn't like they weren't fighting back.
Yeah, it's gross. It's
Yeah, yeah.
heinous. Joe said 3 to 10 minutes. There you go.
No way. Wow.
It's a very long time. It's not a
Yeah,
quick thing at all. And to say that it painless, what are you talking about? That's the most terrifying thing to not be able to breathe. Um, Shako said thanks again to everyone.
yeah.
Authorities believed they finally knew who assassinated Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme,
Mm.
but had to drop the case.
Wow. On February 28th, 19. Oh, you're supposed to do that. I just jumped right in. Oops, sorry.
That's okay. On February 28th, 1986, Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme, leader of Sweden's Social Democratic Party, exited a cinema with his wife, Lisbeth, and was shot in the back at close range. At the time, Sweden barely had any political violence, and Palme often went out minus any bodyguards.
Oh, wow. He was on one of the busiest streets of Stockholm at the time, walking on 7 when the gunman fired. Olaf was pronounced dead on arrival at the Sapstisburg hospital. A second bullet grazed Elizabeth's back, but she was not seriously injured.
Roy and Becky, Nettie just told me about Roy right before we went live. So
Yeah.
I will be keeping him in my prayers and my thoughts. I hope he's healing well and doing well. Investigations led to 4 suspects. Elizabeth identified one of them, Christer Peterson, a known criminal, and he was convicted of the assassination in 1989. Later, his conviction was overturned due to a lack of proof.
Wow. Another suspect immigrated to the U.S., and authorities honed in on 2 others named Scadian Man and GH, but neither were ever prosecuted. Thousands of people were interviewed during the investigation, but with a lack of DNA evidence or a murder weapon, the investigation did not bring about the desired result, a conviction.
Rose said, painless is going to sleep and not waking up, not having 10 to
Yeah.
15 pounds of pressure put around your neck and squeezed.
Oh,
Exactly.
Becky,
Oh,
get another nosebleed today. Yeah, see, they got to get it regulated, so I can't wait for him to see the doctor.
I can't wait till he feels better. I
Yeah,
hate hearing that any of you all are having these health
yeah,
struggles. So praying that it all gets better and he gets into the doctor very soon.
yeah.
In July of 2020, Sweden's chief. In July of 2020, Sweden's chief prosecutor, Christer Peterson, announced they were dropping the investigation because the chief suspect was deceased. Peterson named Stig Ingstrom as the main suspect, who was also known as Scandia Man because he worked for the Scandia Insurance Company.
He was known to have guns and was one of the first witnesses on the scene of Palm's assassination. Peterson also said that the prosecution knew Engstrom had lied about his whereabouts at the time of the assassination, but because he could not be questioned, authorities were dropping the investigation.
Ingstrom took his own life in 2000. During a 2017 interview, his ex wife stated that suspicion of his guilt was out of the question because he was too much of a coward. A Netflix documentary also pointed at Ingstrom as being the murderer, but many disagree. So, wait, his wife was like, nah, straight up, he couldn't murder anybody. He's too much of a coward. What? Geico Man would have been better.
Yeah.
That's funny. Hey, Chrissy Mama. Hello,
Hi,
beautiful.
Chrissy Mama. Boo. I had to put that at the end.
That's funny. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So those are some interesting cases, and I truly find DNA and the genealogy and the like different ways that they're able to capture these people now very, very interesting. Do y'all remember the Idaho 4 case?
Mm-hmm.
They started off, and I remember I put out a video. This is the first time that I actually like was on a case as soon as it was like happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I put out a short about the knife and how it had the knife was not left behind, but the sheath that it went in was a military sheath. And oh man, the comments tore me apart saying it wasn't a military sheath, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's what they're reporting. I mean, that's the reports. And sure enough, that military sheath is what carried his DNA, which is what led them to to everything else and ended up
Mhm.
catching him. That case is actually currently starting to have some movement just now,
Wow.
just now. And I think we covered it a year and a half ago. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it'd be interesting to kind of follow up on that case. You know what else would I think be interesting is a follow up on some of the cases we've covered on Sunday night show. Maybe
Yeah,
checking
we
in and
did have
seeing.
some baby. Remember that we looked into, and they were supposed to, I think it was like mid-year, have
Mhm.
some updates, so I can go back and see, if that happened. And that I think that was mid of this year. So I can go back because we do like to do our updates, especially when
Mhm.
we're left hanging on some of the stories that we covered. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be really good to do.
Hmm.
The Gabby Petito case was a big one too. Yeah, and actually, I
Yeah.
think I covered Gabby Petito. I can't remember. I think I covered her, but a lot of the community that follows me over here and the community that Nettie is a part of is the RV community.
Hmm.
So that really affected a lot of the
Yeah, that was a
community.
sad story.
There was also a lady and her husband that went missing too, that were RVers, and they had gotten their RV stuck. They were found, but there was another one. I'm
Yeah,
watching
that
the
was
doc.
like an older couple that
Yeah,
happened. And then there was another couple that were actually boondocking on the coast in Texas that ended up getting murdered, and they were in their RV.
the ones that got stuck.
Yeah.
There's a YouTuber that had to go in and get the RV and everything out because of where they had gotten stuck at. It was like
Mhm.
impossible for anyone to get them out. And this YouTuber specializes in bringing in like heavy equipment and all that stuff. And so he filmed. He's very respectful. He doesn't show things, but like the
Yeah.
people couldn't even get to them to get the so that it's on his channel how he got
Oh,
in there and got them, and
yeah.
it's a whole thing. But Tommy is watching my dolls back here.
He
If
didn't
every
hear what you said about your new doll.
Yeah, so this is a new one. My daughter brought this home the other night. This is Raggedy Ann. You all, I'm sure, have seen a Raggedy Ann doll before. My daughter brought it. She was so very excited. She went to Goodwill. She came home. She found me a doll. She was very excited, and I looked at her and I said, Did he did that doll have a boy at the store with it? Was there a boy next to that doll at the store that kinda looks like it? And she said, "Yeah, why?" And I said, "You just separated Raggedy Ann and Andy. So if this doll was not haunted before, it's haunted now. And since it's gotten here, we've had lots of little stuff happening." So,
And I have to mention, which Baby already knows, that Annabelle, the real Annabelle doll, is a Raggedy Ann. So that's kind of creepy.
and I will say that my dog kind of sniffed out all the dolls at first, but this one, the dog keeps coming back down and getting a hold of.
Yeah. I'm
Let's
so
see.
glad you have my baby.
Tired, tired, retired said, "It really bothers me of those who have no moral values, who do these things. It really does appear to have an evil influence,
Yeah.
100%. It's
Yeah.
hard to wrap your mind around the fact that someone could do these things. Um,
Yeah.
that's what bothers me is when they have DNA and yet it takes 30 years to make an arrest and another 5 to 10 to get the trial. Yeah.
Hmm.
It bothers me when the court stuff's drawn out. A lot of you know I've gone through my own court stuff with family court, and it was drug out for what, 5 years? You guys
Yeah.
rode with me for 5
We,
years while I was dealing with that court stuff, and we
yeah.
finally are done, but we're only done because my daughter is 18. Like, we
Yeah.
wouldn't be done if it wasn't for that. So, yeah,
And did you see the comment from Paradox saying, wow, your room is completely different?
yeah, I was getting there. So actually, Paradox, part of the reason that I was gone is because my office, which is this space, this apartment down here, my son had moved back home. So I lost all this space. And so now I've revamped. We're down here. We've revamped. I've been given haunted dolls. So it's
And your
been nice.
lighting is absolutely amazing. I love your lighting you have down
Thank
there.
you. I do have that in a lot of the rooms in my house. I love the lighting, but we got a guy by us missing his truck. He was found and airlifted to Phoenix, but his truck hasn't been found. Oh, wow. Oh, he's missing his truck. Wow. So they like rob him or something? Gabby's case was crazy. She's yes,
She's such a
100%.
sweetheart. Yeah.
Angels seem to be compelled to be with devils in disguise. That's true. Better go find her boyfriend Andy and reunite. Right? Timmy Ray the King.
Hey,
Hello.
Timmy, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, I was like, where is this place? It's too far. I can't drive there. It's down in the city. I'm not going. So I thought I just better find her a new one.
Look what Becky said.
I'm gonna find her a new boyfriend. Roy just said the middle doll just waved at us. Y'all, do y'all want to see this one doll? Okay. Y'all know I'm a little spicy from time to time. This doll that she's sitting on, there's a reason my daughter put her there. I don't know if you can see it from here, but his hand is not in a very appropriate place. If you want to see a close-up of this doll and what he does, I will show you. It's not the most appropriate thing.
Yeah, say yes. Say yes, y'all. Say yes.
I will show you if you all want to see it. But you have to want to see it because I don't want to offend anybody. There's not going to be he's not going to show you anything bad. It's just his hand sits in a little bit of a Tommy. Yes. All right.
Yes, yes.
Well, first of all, let me show you that there are actually 4 dolls. Our guy over there has a girlfriend as well.
Look at all them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me show you that first. Okay. I'll show you. I'll show you what he does. Okay. I'm going to move you for a minute. You just sit with her, okay? Okay. Now, when I lift him up, look where his hand nicely sits and how it's formed. I'm just saying, he's a little inappropriate.
Yeah. It looks like a bad Santa, Becky.
Be careful, mister.
So you got Raggedy Ann sitting on his hand.
Well, his hand sits on her skirt. My daughter.
Okay.
My daughter placed it that way. Okay, guys.
So is his hand sitting on her like it was sitting on him?
Yes. Yes, that's what my daughter did when she put her over there.
Oh
so
my.
Yeah. Don't think I'm subscribed. Well, come on over. Hit that button. I'm watching this friend shop on his TV, building the race car with my dad's name. Big hugs, Timmy. Oh, so kind of like Santa at the Legion, Roy, wasn't it? My granddaughter is Annabelle, and that's why I told my daughter, you're naming her after a demon. The other part is his foot's broken. They're porcelain dolls, and his one foot's broken. So I'm like, if he ever goes walking anywhere, we're gonna see like a skid mark for the one foot, and then a footprint for the other one. Can't believe it's already Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I know. I can't wait to see a lawyer in court asking a doll to show up as another doll where she was
touched.
Annabelle's pressing charges. Y'all know I'm not right in the head. My friend sent me a picture of these dolls in the back seat of her mom's car. It was like, me and your mom need to be best friends. I love those dolls. And then she was like, my mom said you could have them. I'm like, I can have them? This is the best day ever. And so I was given all of them, and I love them so very much.
Here's my Joy. Hi, everybody.
I
She's just
love
in her bed.
that cat in the cross eyes. I love it so much.
She loves her Aunt BB. She was able to meet her. Not so much Cat because they're both females, but she does love BB.
Yeah, cat wasn't too thrilled, but they did all right. We just
Yeah,
separated them. They did fine. I've
yeah.
seen a lot of dolls moving. Yeah, we've got a video of a doll moving at Mansion Mom's mansion
Oh, and that was creepy because its little leg was doing this.
while she was touching it. You may
Yeah,
end up with extra dolls without buying more. Behave yourselves, little ones.
I know, right?
That cat. Why are you moving me?
She's still laying there.
It's glass feet, Paradox. It's glass. Can you imagine glass? The sound of
Oh
that?
my! And is your room, is the floor carpeted or is it tile? I don't
Tile.
remember.
It's
Yeah, so
tile.
it's gonna leave like scrape marks if it happens.
My daughter won't come down here and do her laundry because of the dolls. She's scared of them, so she won't come
Oh,
down. I
clanking.
clink.
She's gone. Joy just left.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for
Mhm.
joining us on our Sunday fun day. Again, I'm excited to be back. I'm loving every minute of this. So just thank you all for showing up and being here with us.
Yes.
I appreciate it. You got
And
anything,
I've
Betty?
been so happy to have BB back. I've been looking forward to doing this again with you, BB. So thank you. It's been so much fun. We
I
appreciate
love it.
y'all coming in, and we're looking forward to another Sunday.
Yeah, we'll be back next Sunday. So looking
Yep.
forward to it. Wishing you all much kindness and much love.
And we're sending love your way.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.